Hi, everyone, and welcome. I wanted to invite you in to see how my altar to the Morrigan came together and just explain some of the pieces that I have on it and how it all began. Well, let's just say it all began on a full moon, and I found myself preparing some water to be blessed by the full moon. And it contained some herbs of mugwort and hyssop. And I just put it in here with some warm water and let it sit for about 3 days. And I've just strained it today, but I cleansed my altar and all my tools and space with this water. It was actually quite pleasant to work with. And I also used a little bit of this spray that I keep on my altar, and it's a cleansing spray, and I put purified water in there and 10 drops of tea tree. And sorry, when the altar comes together, then I found myself wanting to spritz around the altar for a little bit of final clearing. So over here you can see I've got a crystal ball, and that proved quite nice to look at through the candles when I was doing my sort of introduction to the Morrigan. So I'd be sitting a lot lower, and it seemed to be right in the center, and it really was almost expanding as I was sitting with it. I did have the shutters pulled down for the altar work, because if you read a little bit about Celtic mythology and the Morrigan, there's a cave that they go into in order to contact her, and through dreams and inspiration and psychic work, we can hopefully find ways of working with her. Now, I did bring a cauldron over here for future work. I filled it with ashes from my hearth, and I've got some sage and things I'll probably burn in there later, but I wanted to protect the cloth. Now, the main cloth here that I put down at the runner was from Amazon. That was not expensive. I thrifted the velvet cloth here, so that worked quite nice, and I thrifted the black cloth that you can't see underneath it. Now, I did bring in some moss. I like to have moss on my altar, and some bark. And this crystal over here, I can't tell you the name of it, but is for dreams and psychic work. And it's very sharp and it's very fluorescent. So I like having that on my altar space. I still have my butterfly for transformation. And I did ask through my pendulum that I have now dedicated to the Morrigan if I could bring in the long distance healing symbol for Reiki that I was taught. And that was a yes through the pendulum. And the reason I do that is when I'm doing self healing, I'm often doing the long distance healing symbol, and I'm calling energy in from the universe, the galaxies, and the ancestors. So it is to me long distance call out for like an SOS or help for healing. Now I do have my dark sphere on the left working through to clarity, hopefully, on the right, the snake for transformation. I did bring three of the cards that from the previous video that I worked on through Will Worthington's work. So there is the raven. That felt right on the altar, and Morrigan said yes. And you see, what's happening for me is I know it is the Morrigan, but for me, it seems to be wanting to come through as me addressing her as Morgan. And I know there's differences. There's my King of Stones for the wolf. And there is the death card from the Druid craft, I believe. So 3 cards made it here. And as I say, for me, when we talk, it seems to be Morgan. But we'll see how that develops. Everybody has to move at their own pace. And that's where I am right now. Now, it was interesting, as I say, to have the 3 candles. A lot of the books I'm reading suggest 2 reds and 1 black. And so that was nice, as I say, to look through here in the darkness. Before I go on to the pot here, the red candles, when I meditated, I could keep the flame within my inner eye, no problem. The black candle, which is not that far behind the red ones, it would not hold its flame in my vision. It was totally dark and mysterious. And when I put the candles out, the black one, the wick was, I want to say, violently red, luscious red. And you can see how the black candle weeps and makes forms, which is really wonderful. But as I go back again to, I snuffed the red candles out at the end, snuffed the black candle out, and the wick glowed red, scarlet red. And it sent up these beautiful veils of gray patterned smoke. And then as I stood here waiting, I didn't want to snuff it out any further. The smoke from the candle, the black one, came towards me, and for a full 5 minutes, those veils, those beautiful veils of smoke and ribbons of smoke, they just enveloped me. And I was quite appreciative of that. I felt that was a good sign, and I just went with it. Now, the liquid in here that I brought forward as an offering has hibiscus in it, hibiscus flowers and hot water. And I've been replacing this. This is the second batch that I've made. It makes a beautiful red, a very, very deep red color. And again, through my reading with the Morrigan, it seems they sometimes want 2 pots of red to represent the blood of the washerwoman at the river or the fjord. So that is my offering to her. And I did watch one other video that suggested whatever you would serve a guest, you can serve the Morrigan. And the next ritual will be nice because it calls for a little bit of mead and prayer work around one of the cards that I pulled. So there you have it, and I'm just going to pause for a second and see if I missed anything. Okay, the one other little tiny thing, which was a little bit of humor, I placed around the bottom of the offering plate some of the forget-me-nots from my property. And I thought, I just seemed to want to do that, so I did it. And this is some feathers from my previous home, and I'll probably be using that with the cauldron to, waft some of the energy from whatever I'm burning in there. So that is my lovely altar that I'm quite happy with. And now I'm going to just pause and show you how I've written it in my journal. It's actually not a journal, it's my grimoire. So come on over and welcome to the page. A page in my grimoire, which I was trying to get across there. So this is where I've been working, and I brought down some of my tools from my art room upstairs. I did manage to re-ink. I needed to take all these out, get them working again, and refill them all so I could write in my wonderful book. And you can see I've got it all over me, but that's part of the fun. So I brought down my grimoire. So that is it there. I've made a special page for her, and this is part of beginning my journey. So I had to have a page for her in my grimoire. So I'm going to zoom in a bit here. There is what I came up with some lettering for her and some crows. I used some ink, some red and some black, as you can see. I thought I would be using a quill pen, but I used a brush and that worked out quite fine. And then I went into my pens for this. Now, because it's so easy for us to forget as we move through our magical practices, I needed a way of writing about the herbs that I put in to the altar, how I cleansed it, bringing in the hibiscus flower. And that was interesting when I further researched the hibiscus flower as to why I was bringing it in. And it indicated that it's sometimes used to increase psychic ability when working with the goddess of darkness, Kali. And I did not know that. So that went into my book. As you can see there, I did a little illustration on the left here to show the candle and talked about the flames and the wisping of the smoke afterwards. And then I did a card pull. Now there is the card that I pulled. And that is the Lady, get it in focus, of Sovereignty. Sovereignty. That word screws me up every single time. So she's gorgeous. She has her crows around her. You've got the beautiful area where the kings were buried behind on the left. She wears her crow feathers very nicely, and she has her horn of mead. And it was a beautiful card to receive because it was talking about finding my confidence. I wrote it down here. Now it says, yes, owning the self, finding your confidence, and finding your sense of leadership. And if there was a need to reclaim pieces of myself, to use actions to do so for betterment. And there is another spell I'm going to be working, and I'll let you know how that goes with the mead glass and the card. And that is all from the book that comes with the deck, The Call of the Morrigan. So I'm quite enjoying the journey, and it is definitely leading me into all kinds of spots. I did put on the side of my book these eyes, and I might add a little bit of red to it. This is from a card that I received from an artist in BC. She created the artwork, but I only took a section of it, and it's a nice way for me to easily find where the Morrigan pages are in my book. And her name was Royal Plant, and I think she's still working as an artist in BC, but maybe not as hard. So I'm ready now to put this aside. I think I'm going to introduce you to a few more things that I found in the next video in working my way through the Call of the Morrigan Oracle and my journey in working with her. And I'm open to hearing everything that you have to share. And I can't wait to see you back here again. And this is a lovely journey. And if you're on the same journey, let me know how it's going. Blessings.